The Chapter 18, the Reformation Activity, there's actually 4 parts to it. First part right here, growing power of secular rulers. What it's actually going to have you do is write 3 separate sentences, one for the Peace of Augsburg. So you're going to tell me something about that and write your sentence up here. Then you're going to give me the Peace of Westphalia. Tell me what this did for secular rulers. And then you're going to give me one more summary sentence here that kind of summarizes what both of those kind of did for secular rulers. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing for the growing power of secular rulers section. Then what I want you to do is draw a line underneath it to separate it. And then you're going to move to new ways of governing. And so new ways of governing, what you're going to do is there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things here. And you're going to make a comic strip for each one. So what I want you to do is divide the rest of your paper into 4 areas for comic strips. Okay? And so, for example, the first one says the first panel should describe why new forms of government were created. Tells you where to read and all that kind of stuff. And so you find out the reason why, for the most part, is kingdoms and nations started to get too big for just a king to be able to control all on their own, and so they needed to come up with new kinds of governments to help them govern these really big things. And so you got to come up with some kind of a comic. So a comic always includes a picture, and then the characters are saying something that generally gives us the idea of what's going on here, right? And so I'm going to draw a picture of, let's say, I don't know, maybe a king or something like that. And how am I going to draw a king? I don't really know, but they have a crown, right? And so here's my king with a crown, and here he is, and he's got his big kingdom, and he says, we get a little bubble thing out here that says something like, my kingdom is too big, so I am going to create a new form of government to help me run the whole thing. Give the guy a little. Kings sometimes have beards, they like that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think that's what we've got, right? And so I've got a comic that explains, hey, kingdoms got too big, and I've got to create a new form of government in order to help that happen. Okay, and so that's what you're going to do. You're going to have a comic strip for each of the 4 items here. Then on the next page, you're going to turn it landscape, and you're going to redraw this timeline for me. Okay, starting with the Magna Carta and ending with the English Bill of Rights. Okay, and so these are important things that happen, and then we've got these other things along the way. I'm going to draw those in. And underneath, here are the captions for it. And so underneath each one of these items, okay, you're going to write me a summary of how this dealt with moving towards more of a constitutional monarchy in England. And so each one of these things along the way did something important. So you're going to give me a little summary sentence underneath or above each one of these. That kind of thing. And so we've got your timeline, we've got the main things that happen, and then we've got our summary sentences underneath or above each one of the major items. Okay? And then last, we've got the English Bill of Rights, which gave rights to the people in certain things that they were able to do. And so what you're going to create is a Twin Peaks Bill of Rights. So you're going to draw me one of these old-time fashioned scroll papers on here. We're going to label it Twin Peaks Bill of Rights. And you're going to give me 3 things that you think students at Twin Peaks should be able to do on campus. Maybe all students should be allowed to chew gum. Something like that. Okay? Or, all students should be allowed to chew gum. And then you need to tell me, if you're allowed to chew gum, what is your responsibility if you are given this right? Wow, you better throw your gum away in the trash, don't throw it on the ground, don't put it on desks, those kinds of things. So you're going to tell me what your right is and what your responsibility is if you are given this right to not mess it up. So those are the 4 parts. You've got your 3 sentences, you've got your 4 comics, you've got your timeline, and you've got your Twin Peaks Bill of Rights. So that's that activity.